Hi, welcome to this short video about how a loving and supportive relationship might turn into distance and bickering when faced with fear and even trauma or even overwhelm um, when the two people don't have enough energy to support each other when both are in need. And I'm going to read the letter from the woman who wrote to me. Her native language is not English, so forgive any grammar things. I'm going to read it as is, and you'll understand. She says, "Lately, my husband has gone complete ignorant of my concerns. He is not as connected to me like before. It is just frustrating to be dismissed every time I try to talk. Whenever things doesn't go right, we face any problem, it's him dismissing my concerns always, a scenario wherein I told you so. From my side implies, but he still doesn't change things. Now I am getting distant from him too, as I now hate him explain anything to me as he takes every conversation apart and away from topic. I totally appreciate him being so supportive physically, but mentally I don't even know, as he wasn't even excited to look at the first ultrasound picture of our baby, which we lost in 5 weeks, and I wonder if he was ever happy about extending our family. I have a lot in my mind to share with my partner, but it only comes out in frustration given the situation." Um, yeah, a super, super deep and traumatic time and experience for you. And um, we'll call the woman Penny. I don't use real names in these videos. And there's a lot of sadness. I was feeling this as I was tuning in before making the video. A lot of sadness in this situation. A loving, supportive relationship where there was emotional availability. It sounds like at the beginning, space to listen. Penny, you felt listened to for a long time. You felt able to express yourself, and that your partner was able to hold space. But now that's changed, and it's understandable that a lot of fear can come up around extending the family, like around having children, right? As you say, what I feel a deep fear has come up for him around that, and a lot of people have trauma from childhood that they're really afraid of passing on to their children. And I don't know if you've ever talked about that specifically with your partner around the fears that can come up around having children, um, and also you've lost a child. And as somebody who has gone through a miscarriage in my relationship, I I I, I know how traumatic it is, and how easy it is also to dismiss that and just move on as if nothing happened. And sometimes, especially for the male in the relationship, it we're thrust into a supportive role. We are don't have the immediate direct experience of trauma and grief that a woman does in that situation. And so what I'm seeing here in this situation is that fear has come up in this connection, in this relationship, and fear immediately makes it difficult to be a space holder, to have good conversations, and to not be triggered in any other aspect of the relationship. So you might, and then of course that ricochets and it downward spirals. So he's feeling afraid, and he's going into his mind, right? He's bickering, he's taking apart things, he's creating distance in his own way through the mind, through taking your arguments apart, or through not being able to have a supportive energy towards you. And of course, that creates distance, and you want to create distance too because you feel afraid now as well. So the solution here is really to take a step back, right? You have to backtrack to the time when there was energy, there was expansive energy, there was time in your life to be able to There was no fear. You were able to hold space for each other. You have to go back to that time and then ask, okay, what were the events that led to the fear building up and then to the trauma of losing a child? And if you're capable of doing this on your own, that's wonderful. You have to really learn some deep listening and communication techniques and methods, like nonviolent communication, like taking turns listening and witnessing and reflecting. If you don't have these tools, the best advice I can give you is to get a supportive third party, a therapist or counselor, to hold space for you both and help you each learn how to witness and reflect each other, so that you can do that for each other again. Because unless you bring those fears to the surface, those unconscious fears to the surface, you're going to continue in this downward spiral, and the distance is going to remain. So this is in general in every relationship when this happens. When a relationship goes from expansive into bickering, into defensiveness, and it feels mental, it feels like you're constantly taking each other apart and arguing and frustrated with each other, there are some underlying fears that are not being addressed. And it's very important that you both know that and you take a step back and look at, okay, what are the fears that have been coming up for us, working through those, having better communication around that. It's not easy. It's going to take time and devotion and loyalty, but it sounds like you have a really good foundation of love and respect with each other. And I think that if you approach your partner again with this idea of being able to hold space for him in a sacred environment, not when you're making breakfast and not at night when you're tired, but set a time in the morning, a Saturday morning, set 3-4 hours, real spaciousness, like to really deeply listen to the fears, to the grief that has come up, without cleansing that and witnessing each other and feeling safe again together. You're not going to get through this. It'll just get worse. So I bless you on your journey, and anybody who's going through this. It happens in almost every relationship that I've ever seen. It's happened in my relationship, certainly. You have to come back to the fears that are creating that. Blessings on all your journeys, and thank you for tuning in. Love to get your questions and comments. Please don't hesitate to send them. So much love.